welcome. This is going to be really tough to make this presentation because I like to walk back and forth, and I'm going to have to push this podium back and forth, so it's going to be hard to do that. My goal over the next 3 minutes or so is to show you, explain to you how you can save $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 when you make your next job transition. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about three things. One is I'm going to talk about the fact that you need to be an expert in job transition. One. Number two, I'm going to talk about the process options you have to get a job. What steps can you take to get a job? And then three, I'm going to talk about this website and how it can help you in the process of getting a job. Okay? This idea of you need to be an expert in getting, in finding a job. How many people here are right now employed? A couple people. So most of you are job seekers. The last job you had, the last company you worked for, how many here worked for that company for 3 years or more? A minority of you. The reality in today's job market is that jobs at a professional level last 2 to 3 years. That means every 2 to 3 years you're looking for a new job, right? So you really want to get good at looking for a new job. Now, how long does it take to get a new job? Now, if you're an engineer, you don't have to worry. Jay's an engineer, he doesn't have to worry. But if you're not an engineer, the average time it takes to get a new job is 9 months. That was a recent study done by the U.S. Department of Labor. And if you're at a level making $10,000 a month, it's costing you $90,000, right? You're out of work for 9 months. And if you're an expert in job transition and you can get the job in 8 months, you've just gained $10,000, right? In 3 months, knock off 3 months, you can gain $30,000. So you need to really be good at getting a job. This website, and we'll talk about it later, will help you do that. The people that use the techniques in this kind of website typically get jobs 30% faster than other people. So you can save $20,000, $30,000 of lost income. The second thing I want to talk about is how to find a job. Okay? So, question. How many people next week, you're all in job transition, how many people are going to go to the internet and respond to job leads? How many people are going to do that? Not very many people. You're going to play golf next week? Is that it? You're not going to look for a job? The reality is that going to the internet and sending in your resume, there's less than 10% of all jobs are found. Less than 10%. What about recruiters? Does anyone try to get to recruiters at this point when they're looking for a job? Anybody? Recruiters? Less than 10% of jobs are gotten through recruiters. How about posting your resume on a billboard site, something like LinkedIn or Monster or whatever? How many people have posted your resume on those sites? Yeah, a little more. Again, less than 10% of jobs are found that way. So, what's the best way to find a job? And the short answer is networking. Networking, you've all heard this. 60% plus of all jobs are gotten through networking. So, what is networking? Well, networking to a lot of people is going to a bunch of meetings, shaking hands with people and hoping that someone's going to offer them a job, right? That's not networking. Our definition of networking is to get someone that knows the hiring manager at a company to introduce you to that hiring manager, or to have that insider send your resume to the hiring manager. If you're an engineer and someone within a company, say someone with Apple, in Apple, sends the VP of engineering your resume, what do you think the chances are that that VP is going to look at your resume? Anybody? Almost 100%. It came from someone with the company or someone that VP knew. And so you're going to get your resume looked at. If you send your resume into HR, what do you think? Less than 10% of the resumes get through HR. They screen them out. So again, our definition of networking is to get someone that knows that hiring manager to send your resume to them, right? That's our definition of networking. This site, and we'll show you in a minute how it does it, but this site will help you do that, okay? You're given those various ways of getting a job and the probabilities, the chances of getting jobs. Where are you going to spend most of your time in your job transition? Anybody? Networking, because that's where the jobs are. And again, this is what the site does. Let's see, get to the next slide. Yeah. So, why would you believe what I'm saying? Why should I have any credibility, the site have any credibility? And here are 3 reasons. U.S. Department of Labor went around the whole United States and looked at various job transition programs. And we were one of just 5 services, job transition services in the United States that were defined as best practice. So that's one reason. Another reason is that we do customer satisfaction surveys of the people that use our site, and 90% of the people that use our site find our site helpful in their job transition, so high customer satisfaction ratings. And the third reason is that we have a visiting professor at Stanford on our board of advisors. She spent all of last year studying job transition in Silicon Valley. And we use a lot, obviously, of what she found in our process. So 3 reasons you might want to consider what we're talking about. So what are our steps? What are the steps we recommend you follow to get a job? And it's 3 steps, that's all. 3 steps. Number 1, get your head on straight. Number 2, target companies that you want to work for. And number 3, get the introductions through company insiders. One way to look at job transition is to consider what a professional sales force does. When you think about a sales force, let's just say a company selling security software, big security software for medium-sized and small banks. Consider the people selling that. They're going through a process similar to what you're going through when you're looking for a job. They're selling the software. What are you selling? You're selling your services, right? So you're both essentially selling services. Let's talk about how they do these things. Number 1 step is to get your head on straight. It is an inevitable, just almost universal, when people lose their jobs, they lose their self-confidence, they feel shameful, there's a lot of emotional things that come up. And until you get through that, you're not going to get a job. When you go into a resume, and if you're feeling that way, you're not projecting confidence and you're not positive, they're not going to hire you. So you got to get through this. How do sales forces do it? Because we might be able to learn something from them. A good sales force, the way they do this, and think about what a salesman does. Every day he's going out and trying to sell a product, and he's getting no, right? He's getting rejected all the time, or she's getting rejected all the time.
And so they have the same issue of loss of self-confidence. The way they do it is relatively simple. They meet in a sales team about once a week, and it's a support team. And it's maybe 8, 12, 15 people in this whatever area they're in. And what they do is they come together and they share things that worked. They share things that didn't work and how to handle those things, but it's a support group, right? That's what a good sales force does. Okay, let's translate that over to job transition. What support group are you in? If you're trying to do this yourself, you're trying to be a lone ranger, you're not going to be successful. It's going to take you 30% longer to get a job. Big research studies by major firms show that people that try to do it themselves without a support group are going to get, take 30% longer. So you got to get part of a support group. Career actions. If you go to the website and you sign up, you suddenly have acquired a support group of about 1,000 people in the Bay Area who have agreed to help you network into their companies. 1,000 people. So you're not alone, you're part of this big success support group. So that's how we do it on the website. The second step is target companies. Now, again, let's go back to that sales group. I'm a salesperson selling security software. It was designed for medium-sized and small banks. Do you think that salesman's going to go to a bunch of networking meetings and serendipitously look around to find a buyer from one of those companies for his software? Do you think that's how they do it? No. The way they do it is they develop a target list of small to medium-sized banks. Let's say their territory is Northern California, so they get the banks in Northern California. And where do they get that data? Where do they get that data? Well, their company probably subscribes to one of the big commercial databases that has all the companies in Northern California. So they go in and they screen them out, find the small to medium-sized banks, and that's their target list. Think about it. They're very precise in how they spend their time. They're going to companies that have a high propensity to buy their product, right? Right? So let's move over to the job transition world. How does this translate? How many people here have a list right now of target companies they want to work for? 3, not a good sign. You have to develop a list of target companies. If your background has been 20 years in medical device and you're going to try to get yourself hired by a social networking company, low probability. You got to take your experience, both your industry experience and your functional experience, and try to develop a target list of people that have a high propensity to buy your services. Okay? Just like a sales force would. If you don't, you're just serendipitously walking around, and it's going to take you 9 months or more to get a job. But if you get real precise and hone in on these companies, then you're going to be much more successful much quicker. Does that make sense? Okay. So the third step in this process is getting connected to company insiders, right? And let's just say you're a software engineer, software developer, and you want to work for one of the companies on your target list is Apple, maybe another one is Cisco. What do you think the probability is that you know someone that knows the hiring manager that hires engineers at those companies? The short answer is very small probability. You don't have a big enough, hardly anyone has a big enough list of contacts personal contacts that are going to be able to introduce them to those hiring managers. In fact, research done at Stanford shows that most introductions and connections to hiring managers are made by strangers, not people you know, strangers. And why would a stranger introduce you to a hiring manager? Why? Well, the facts are about half the people in this country will unconditionally help other people. Don't expect anything in return. Don't have to know who you are. They'll say something like, met this person, they're an engineer, I know you're looking for engineers, here's their resume. That's all they have to do. But half the people will do that. Half the people won't do that. They'll say, I'm not going to introduce you unless I know you. Well, those aren't the kind of people that are going to help you. And those aren't the kind of people in our network. The people in our network are that first group, the people that will help you. Our website, you can go to our website, and we have over 1,000 companies in the Bay Area. And you know, that second step is to target companies. You can go to that website. You probably can't afford the commercial websites, but go to our website and you can develop your list of target companies and go to our website, and we have that list, Company Insiders, all these companies, and look down through it for your target companies. And there's links on that app that if you click on it, it will take you to the company's job page or career page. And then look there to see if there's a job that you're interested in. If you find a job you're interested in, come back to the website, and there's another link that says, and it's that green link, request a connection. When you click on that link, a resume comes out, an email comes out from our website. One copy comes to you, and one company goes to the insider. And that email, there's a link on it to your resume. And there's instructions on how to use it, and it essentially says, you as the job seeker, take the initiative and contact the insider and ask for a meeting. Ask probably for a phone interview, because they might not have time to go out for coffee, but they have agreed, they've given you permission to connect with them, and they will talk to you. And so when you talk to them, and when you make that request, put that job you're interested in, on that email, so they know what you're interested in. And so when you talk to them, say, I'm looking, I saw a job on the website, it looks like it might be a good fit. There's a couple things you can get. At minimum, you can ask them about the culture of the company. You think you might want to work at Apple, right? But maybe you have children and you like to spend time with children, and you may find out from that person that you have to work 16 hours a day to keep your job at Apple. So you may decide that it's not a culture for you to work. So that's one of the minimum things you can get by talking to these insiders. The other thing you can get, you can ask this, ask them if they know the hiring manager for that job. Who is the hiring manager? Not the HR person, not the recruiter, but the actual hiring manager. And ask them if they know that person and if they would forward your resume to that person. And if they would, again, 100% probability that your resume is going to get looked at. Okay? Makes sense? So that's the third step. And let me tell you sort of a story about how this worked. A woman named Kelly was a facilities manager. She went to the website, and she had a list of target companies. She found one of those target companies. She clicked on that link that took it to the job page for that company and found a job she thought she would be a good fit for. So she went back to the website, clicked on that green link, and got connected to the insider. She asked for the meeting. They talked, he recommended some changes to her resume to make it more appropriate for that company, so it would be a better fit for the company. She made those changes, sent the resume back to him. He took that resume and forwarded it to the hiring manager. And even though the company was pretty far along in their search, you know, they had a whole list of candidates and all this, he liked what he saw, brought her in, and the story is that she went through a series of interviews, and the last interview was with the CFO and the CEO. And so she's talking to these folks, and she thought the interview went pretty well, and so she left, and she's walking across the parking lot to her car, and one of those people came running out. Who do you think it was? It wasn't the CEO. He sent the CFO. Anyway, the CFO came running out, made her a job offer right there on the spot. It was for more money than she expected, so she accepted the job on the spot. That's how this idea of getting connected works, and that's how this website works. Okay? That's all there is to that. It's pretty simple, but it's powerful. 60% plus jobs are gotten this way, and people that use this process get jobs 30% faster, which could be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Okay? So we have some time for questions. Does anyone have any questions? This young man in the back has a question.
You can use the speaker or you can speak
I'll speak
loudly.
loud.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate yourself, say, from LinkedIn, which is really for itself?
I like to say we're LinkedIn with a soul. The people in our website have agreed to help you. And I don't know how many times you've tried to use your network to get introduced to other people, but one of the big problems LinkedIn has is getting introductions into the second level. So what we do, we actually have a quality control system set up under these insiders. If they don't respond, we politely ask them to leave the network. We try to increase the probability that we're getting people that respond. Answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, good. I actually, as part of this, I have some gift cards that someone gave me. And since you asked the first question, you get this gift card. It's a $10 gift card to Costco.
Thank you. I got a $20 one just in the morning.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
Any other gift cards?
Maybe.
Okay, so any
I have to wait for the question.
So, what is actually